G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Super Rugby semi-finals, first game, Crusaders versus Chiefs. If you're a Chiefs fan, right now, how much hair have you put out of your skull? Like, man, this game was so frustrating to watch if you're a Chiefs fan. The game was scoreless in the second half, and the Chiefs was absolutely dominating the Crusaders for what must have been 25-30 minutes of the second half, and they were not able to score a try or even any points. There were so many opportunities where the Chiefs just either just loses the ball or like just poor execution that drops the ball. And yeah, the Crusaders fronted up the defense. This was a tackle simulator for the Crusaders. Apparently this was a record-breaking tackle count for the Crusaders. And we're going to have a look at, I think it's like 250 something tackles for the game. It was ridiculous. Just, the Chiefs had so many opportunities, so close. I genuinely don't know, man. Like, it was a bit raining out there and there was a bit of wind, but I felt like that wasn't the excuse that the Chiefs were not able to execute. I felt like it was more to do with the fact that the Chiefs did not have sufficient practice with their set pieces. They were opting for a lot of their scrums, and then they just don't have anything follow up with their scrums. They did have scrum dominance. They didn't have anything following up from it. And also the lineouts, the Chiefs weren't able to execute the lineout for a more. The Crusaders were able to just quite easily stop that. I was surprised. I thought the Chiefs had a little bit better lineout organization overall than the Crusaders, but they're just not able to set up that lineout more. And once again, Scott Barrett, being like the man of the team for the Crusaders, does a lot of those little work in those more defenses and gets the Crusaders across the line for that front. So I really thought, Scott Barrett had a lot of workload today with Sam Whitelock out with a thumb injury, I think a broken thumb, and Ethan Blackadder out with a shoulder injury. So he was basically the man that has to do all the lineouts and probably carry a lot of the breakdown work as well. And yeah, that was really just something that was like a spectacle. Like, you wouldn't expect a team to make 250 tackles and not concede points. Like, obviously not they consider one, 250 only conceding one try. And it was just bizarre. And on top of that, the Crusaders had to play 30 minutes. Yes, 30 minutes with a player short. Pablo Matera had a yellow card, followed by another yellow card. So he got a red card as a result of getting 2 yellow cards. So he was off the field for 30 minutes. The Crusaders had to play with a player short, and despite that, they were able to score points. Really, I don't know. Like, I felt like this was one opportunity that the Chiefs had that could have won this match if they just had executed a little bit better. Have those set pieces, just polish that up a little bit more in training. There was some really questionable kicking from the Chiefs as well. Like, there was in the first half where the Crusaders were able to score. Basically, the Chiefs were just doing some really strange kicking, like little chip over the top from inside their own 22. Like, why? You're literally just kicking the ball. You might as well just throw it might as well just roll the ball on the ground for the Crusaders to pick it up. Like, what's the point of kicking the ball from inside your 22, a little chip kick over? I genuinely don't understand, like, what are you trying to get out of that? Especially when we have a player up advantage as well when Pablo Matero's in the bin. Yeah, I genuinely don't know. So that was some really questionable decision on the Chiefs' part. And obviously, those poor decisions end up being quite punishing. The Crusaders scored tries. I think 1 try from that poor kick. And then, yeah, overall, Crusaders 2 tries, Chiefs 1, and then a bunch of penalty goals. Put the Crusaders 20 points to 7 for the win. No points in the second half. Also, the referee was giving out yellow cards, like business cards, in the first half. He gave out a really just like 2 high tackles out of both. Really gentle, but at least I thought they were, the commentators, obviously being New Zealanders, made a big deal out of this. I thought that Nick Barrett did make the right decisions. Yes, they were really soft yellow cards, like players slipping into, shoulder, like the ball carrier slips into a tackle, and then kind of like gets clipped on the head very, like barely, very gently. And I thought maybe, according to the World Rugby expectations, that is the right decision by Nick Berry. Any contact to the head is minimum red, like yellow. I thought maybe, in New Zealand, especially with Ben O'Keefe, that might be just a penalty. But if the thing is, don't blame Nick Berry for this decision. This is the interpretation from the World Rugby. If you get a French referee, you're gonna get the same result. You get a English referee, you're gonna get the same result. And it's not really Nick Berry's interpretation. It's how the World Rugby wants the game to be interpreted. It's really like poor for the New Zealand commentary and pundits to try to like change that. And they should just follow the guidelines by the World Rugby. That's what it is. Pablo Materas got a yellow for basically the Crusaders Crusaders was under the pump in the first half as well. Not able to, I think they did give a try eventually. Talbot crashed through, but they were just giving away so many penalties, and Nick Berry had issued a yellow card. And Pablo Matera was the recipient of that, and he came back on the field immediately, puts in a gentle high shot, and he gets a red card. I think he was deserving it because there was a lot of like really weird stuff happening in the first half as well with regards to yellow cards. So Pablo Matera was the person that basically got hit in the head and resulting in Quinn Tupaya gets sent off, and he basically milked it. Pablo Matera, he had a pretty gentle like clip on the side of his head, and he goes down like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. And then the referees had to take a look at that and decided that yes, contact to the head, yellow card, Quinn Tupaya. And then as a result of that, even the Chiefs players on the field were like, he should be off for HIA, and the referee's like, it's not up to me, which is true. But like the on-field, I guess, on-side doctors were just really poor. Like, this is probably negligence he should be taken off for HIA. Because if he's going down, holding his head like, oh my god, I'm going to die, he needs to be taken off for HIA. And they're just like, nah. And then, get this, when Pablo Matera gets his high shot in, and then he gets red carded, it was Gatlin who were on the receiving end of this, and Gatlin didn't even like milk it. He's just like, yeah, all right, play on. He's just getting up and like didn't do anything. He was just like, play it on, and they forced him off the field to get a HIA. And this was actually a really important point against the Chiefs, because once Gatlin was off the field, Ioane was not able to handle the situation on the field, resulting in like those poor kicks I just talked about, Crusaders scoring points. Like really, really poor medical stuff. Like you call yourself doctors? Like you really call yourself doctors? A guy on the ground rolling around like he's gonna die, you don't take him off for HIA, and this other guy is just like, I'm fine. He just literally gets up, getting like played on. You take him off for HIA. It was just, really, really poor. I genuinely don't know what's going on here. That's just, that's like medical, like, that's like negligence for your medical staff there for New Zealand Rugby. I'm not too sure what was happening. Anyway, let's have a look at some stats out of this game. So, the 2 tries to 1, no points were scored in the second half. 250 meters, run meters for the Crusaders is 376 for the Chiefs. At halftime, the run meters was 119 to the Crusaders and Chiefs 196. So the carry count is probably the most telling part. The Crusaders only had 78 carries to the Chiefs 163. At halftime, the Crusaders only had 30 carries. Despite scoring 20 points, they only had 30 carries. And the Chiefs had 86 carries at halftime, only able to score 1 try. And obviously, 163 carries, and you can only score 1 try out of that. And there was some really interesting stuff as well. So in the second half, again, the Chiefs was just inside the Crusaders 22. There was one point where the Crusaders, like close to the end of the first half, the game, the Crusaders there was 74 rocks inside the Crusaders 22. And the Chiefs were not able to score, only able to score 1 try. This must be infuriating if you're a Chiefs fan. Turnovers conceded at halftime, 6 apiece for both teams. The Chiefs in the end, conceded way too many turnovers, especially in the second half. 12 turnovers conceded in the second half. The Chiefs, Crusaders conceded 7 turnovers. Also, the tackle count, 254 for the Crusaders. That's a record for Super Rugby. The Chiefs, 114 tackles. Like, there was literally, I think that like the Chiefs literally was in these huge periods where they didn't have to make a single tackle. It was just such a strange game to like occur. And missed tackle count, Crusaders only missed 23 tackles out of 254, which is quite good in terms of percentage. Chiefs 16 missed tackles, only make 114 at halftime, and this is why the Chiefs conceded 48 points. At halftime, Chiefs only had to make 20 points. The Chiefs conceded 28 points. The Chiefs only had to make 48 tackles at halftime, and they missed 11. That's like 1 out of 5 tackles they missed. That is really, really poor, and result in Crusaders getting 20 points on the board on you, despite playing with a play in the bin for most part. But yeah, so there was what is it? Both teams were set pieces were really poor, so we're gonna go and have a look. 20 kicks for the Crusaders, the Chiefs 13. A bunch of penalties for the Crusaders. The lineouts were really bad for the Crusaders. At halftime, they lost all of it. They only had 2 lineouts, the Crusaders, at halftime, and they lost all of it. So second half, they had 4 lineouts. They lost 1 out of 4. Really poor for the Crusaders. Some people attribute that to Sam Wildkard being out, but Cody Taylor hasn't been that great in lineout throw, to be honest. Even with Sam Wildkard in the team. The Chiefs, 2 lineouts lost. They didn't lose any lineouts before halftime, but overall they lost 2. The scrum was a big thing. The Chiefs were initially, the Chiefs got the yellow card first. So initially you thought they were just using the scrums to run down the clock. And it turns out the Chiefs felt like they had the scrum advantage over the Crusaders. So they were just repeatedly going for those scrums. And I don't think that paid out for them because, yes, they had a dominant scrum. Yes, they were getting like penalties out of these scrums. But they were not, like I said, they did not have the set piece to follow up from the scrums to score tries. Both because of their executions weren't very clinical, but also I just felt like they didn't really plan much of a move out of the scrum set piece. So it was just really weird. Like, they clearly had a scrum advantage, but then they're just like, not sure what we're going to do from here. Hopefully we get out a penalty and we'll go for another scrum. So it was really, really bizarre decision making there for the Chiefs. So penalty count, 13 penalties against Crusaders, 8 against the Chiefs. Technically, there's 2 yellow cards for the Crusaders, but they're all issued to the same person, so it's actually 1 yellow, 1 red. So Pablo Matera was off for 30 minutes. And the Chiefs had 1 penalty. Quentin Tupea got that. 1 yellow card. Quentin Tupea got that. On Pablo Matera. Pablo Matera, there was, I don't even know if he's going to get match banned for this, because we saw him, dumping Jordan Player a couple weeks ago against the Reds. I think last week against the Reds. A couple weeks ago against the Reds. And then he was playing last week against the Reds again. So they had 2 back-to-back games against the Reds in 2 weeks in a row. So yeah, we'll see if he gets banned this time. But I feel like he's going to be okay, because none of these infringements were like that, like a tiny little clip on the shoulder. I don't think that's definitely not going to get him match banned. 2 yellow, we'll have to see it. Maybe he will get banned, because I think 2 yellow cards do get you banned, because I think Rhys Hodge got banned for 3 weeks for getting 2 yellow cards. But yeah, no, I think he does get banned. I think he will get banned. We'll have to see. Anyway, so let's go through some of the key points of the game. Like I said, this was such a bizarre game. Like, so many, like, both teams were basically playing with 14 players for a lot of the periods in the first half, and there was no tries being scored in the second half. So yeah, let's have a talk about what happened in the game. So right away, so the 5 minutes into the game, there was a lot of mistakes on the Chiefs team already starting to show. Yeah, like, maybe it was a bit rainy and it was apparently extremely windy, but there was a lot of small mistake right away for the Chiefs. And the Crusaders were able to get an opportunity just straight to get kicked 3 points on the 5-minute mark. They kicked the 3, gets themselves 3 points on the board. 2 minutes later, this is where Materas kind of like, there was a line out, he gets overthrown. Matera kind of gets there to recover the ball. he looked like he slipped into this tackle, and because he was juggling the ball, he wasn't able to catch it cleanly. And then the Quinn Tupaia was there. He clips his head on Quinn Tupaia's shoulder, and the referee said Tupaia was not, deep enough to mitigate this down to a penalty only. And the fact that Material was kind of like falling, yellow card. And Material was on the ground milking it like, oh my god, I'm gonna die, bro. And then he gets, as soon as the penalty, the yellow card is issued, he gets up. Yeah, I'm fine. No need for HIA. Even Brent Gatlin from the Chiefs was complaining at this point, like, why isn't he off for HIA? He's got a you look like he got hurt pretty badly on his head. Should look after him. So, nope. Crusaders kicks this one on the 8th minute, 6 points to 0. And then on the 11th minute, it looked like Peter Gus Soakula looked like he went in for a try. This was like a beautiful play from the Chiefs. They were just pounding the Crusaders try line, a lot of pressure. The ball comes out, a big, nice long counter pass to Peter Gus. He gets tackled like in goal, but he gets flipped. He's back on the ground, so he tried to like put the ball down in an awkward position like this. And then the ball pops out his hand. Like I think might have been Sever Reese or somebody was there. Pops the ball out of his hand. No try. What was surprising about this moment is that Nick Berry was standing right there, and he said it was a try, on-field decision try, checking for grounding. It was so obvious that he popped out his hand and lost the ball. I don't know how he could make an on-field decision try here. This was really bizarre. On the 16th minute, there were so many penalties. Nick Berry was, the Chiefs were continuing that momentum, pounding the Crusaders line. Nick Berry giving away penalties, giving away warnings. I just really reluctant to give away yellow cards. I felt like he did warn the Crusaders a little bit too early. Like, the Crusaders only given away like a couple penalties, and Nick Berry already gave like the Crusaders a warning, and suddenly the Chiefs are asking, hey, where's the yellow card? And Nick Berry is just like, trying to like refrain from giving a yellow card. And then finally on the 19th minute, this was a cynical one. Pablo Material not rolling away in the rack, right in front of his goalpost, yellow card. He gets sent off for 10 minutes. So now, at this point, the Chiefs had just opted for so many scrums following these penalties. Quinn Tupaia was back onto the field. They were literally camped inside the Crusader 22 for 10 minutes and ran the clock down with scrummaging for Quinn Tupaia to come back on. This was bizarre, right? However, with the play in the bin, the Crusaders was able to actually put themselves back. So in the 22nd minute, the Chiefs was again attacking. There was a loose pass. Richie Muonga gets the ball, scoops it up, runs through the field. He links up with Sever Reese. Sever Reese kicks the ball downfield. The ball bounces inside the Chiefs' try line. The Chiefs player recovers the ball, gets tackled in goal. This was literally like a 80-meter turnaround for the Crusaders, right? And suddenly the Crusaders, despite having a play in the bin, it's getting a 5-meter scrum in front of the Chiefs' try line. After 10 minutes camping in front of the defending, right? Like, it was insane. So, 5-minute scrum. Colin Grace gets the ball, charges through, he gets tackled, reaches out, dunks the ball in for a try. Just like that. Just like that. Immediately, it took the Chiefs 10 minutes, not able to score a single point. And the Crusaders, having a play in the bin, was able to immediately turn that around and score a point, score a try. And suddenly the margin is 13 points to 0. On the 26th minute, finally the Chiefs again get themselves back in the position, pounding the Crusaders try line. 18 phases later, Angus Tarval gets the ball. He did a little step. Probably that's something that the Crusaders defenders were not expecting. Doing a bit of a step. And then runs through a little gap, puts the ball down. Try, finally. And that's the only try the Chiefs were able to get. And that was after 18 phases for Tarval to go through. That was a really brilliant work for Tarval. He gets in. He gets tackled as well, like sure, but he was able to reach himself through. So, yeah. On the 30th minute, the Crusader had a line out. inside their own 22. They lost their own line out from the throw. Like inside the Chiefs 22, like a prime attacking position. Again, Cody Taylor's throw has been really poor this season. On the 31st minute, Havili gets kneed on the face. He has like a golf ball literally on his face. This looks so bad. He literally had his cheek. It was literally like, yeah, he was so bad. And he had to take it off and get himself iced up and look much better in the second half. But as this was happening, Pablo Materas is getting reviewed for high shot to Gatlin. And referee was like Nick Berry was doing everything he can, doing all the mental gymnastics that he can to not issue this yellow card, trying to say that there was no low level of danger whatsoever. But yeah, he was upright, shoulder to the head. Even if it's low danger, still a yellow card. And Nick Berry says, well, I have no choice. It's a yellow card. And this is your second yellow, Mr. Materas. Red card. And then, this is what I was talking about. Gatlin's getting the ball, about to do the dropout. He is absolutely fine. Didn't even go down or anything, just played on. He gets pulled off for HRA. A bizarre situation. Unbelievable. Like, really poor medical stuff. Like, you call yourself doctors, you should all have your licenses revoked. This was horrendous. Anyway, on the 35th minute, I think this is literally the result of Gatlin not being on the field, being able to manage those kicks. The Chiefs were struggling to get the ball out of their own half. And obviously there was a bit of wind going on, but they eventually they literally had penalties and not able to kick the ball out. Like, the ball was literally just like, only went like 10 meters forward from the penalty point. And eventually, Ioane gets the ball. He just like chips the ball over the top from inside his 22. And then Richie Mo'unga gets the ball like, thanks very much, mate. We'll run it. And then there was like a few phases later, Richie Mo'unga slips through a gap, and suddenly the Chiefs were. He links up with George Bauer, runs through, gets tackled about 5 minutes short. Quick ball comes out, long pass to Colin Grace out wide, goes in. Second try for the Crusaders. Just that easy, yeah. And suddenly the Crusaders up 20 points to 7 just before halftime. On the 40th minute, the Chiefs had one last chance to score, and once again, Chiefs were just inside the Crusaders 22. It looked like they're gonna probably score. There was overlap out wide. Ioane tries to throw a long pass over the top, not long enough. Faianga Nuku jumps up and intercepts the ball, and that's halftime. Second half, this was, I don't really know what to say about second half. This just a tackle simulator. The Chiefs had so many opportunities inside. I don't even like this. I have like a full page of just Chiefs dropping on the ball. Maybe quickly talk about this. So Crusader scrum has been unclean, but the Chiefs, like I said, opting for scrums again and again and again, but not able to really get anything out of it in the second half. So the Chiefs was getting these really good opportunities inside the Crusaders half for pretty much about 30 minutes. On the 48th minute, the Chiefs get stripped just before the Crusaders try line. On the 52nd minute, again, Chiefs were just good carrying, getting inside the Crusaders half. There was one player out wide. I think it was, who was it? I was out wide, but there was one player out wide. Quintuple gets the ball. Literally, not a single person inside defending him. All Quintuple had to do is pass the ball. He throws the pass, and he went too far. It goes straight to the guy sitting in the first row at Orange Theory Stadium. Oh my god, I could not believe this. And then on the 58th minute, the Chiefs had a 5-meter line out, right? The maul was set, but anyway, it was kind of bizarre. It looked like the maul was going forward, but the referee was deeming the maul was going sideways, so told the Chiefs to use this. The Chiefs tries to run the maul, and then again, Quintuple had gets the ball. They get the ball out to Quintuple. He gets a nice hard run, and Crusaders strip the ball. Yeah, this was again 5-meter line out, not able to score from there. On the 60th minute, they showed a stat. Like I said, at this point, the Chiefs has been just camped inside the Crusaders 22 for must have been the entire second half. There were 74 rucks inside the Crusaders 22, and there was 11 minutes spent inside the Crusaders 22 for the Chiefs, and no one able to score. On the 62nd minute, Chiefs gets another opportunity inside the Crusaders 22 following a penalty. Again, few phases later, knock on. 64th minute, there was the Crusaders looks like finally they get themselves out of trouble. They get a penalty in again. The Chiefs were in just building more pressure inside the Crusaders half. The Crusaders gets a penalty inside their own 22 once again. Chiefs gives away a penalty, and on the 68th minute, the Crusaders finally gets their first scrum in the whole game. They won the first scrum penalty inside the Chiefs' half, and this is literally on the 68th minute. Must be about the first time the Crusaders got into the Chiefs' half for like basically maybe for the last 25 minutes, right? And then they opt to take 3. It was a pretty long kick, so yeah, maybe the wind had a little bit to do with it. It looked like it was going straight down, and then it just drifted wide just before the goalpost. And then so then at this point, there's about 10 minutes left. Chiefs still has opportunity to win with 2 converted tries. But yeah, it was just not going to be the case. The Crusaders was actually building some more pressure, feeling the momentum, get back into their own side. There was so the Crusaders was pretty poor as well in the second half. So Crusaders on the 72nd minute had an opportunity to go for a line out. This is literally the first line out the Crusaders had inside the Chiefs half. On the 72nd minute, right? There's only 8 minutes left in the game. The Crusaders finally gets a line out inside the Chiefs 22. And the line out comes in not straight. I was just like, I couldn't believe what I was saying. But then anyway, that's pretty much the way the game ended. The Chiefs was doing everything they can to try to score tries from inside their own half. They did more of the stupid kicking again. We're trying to kick over the top, but they did actually recover this time. They kicked the ball over the top. I think it was Quint Tupaya who recovered it. They actually did quite well, but still, throwing haymakers were not able to land. But yeah, in the end, Crusaders 20 points to 7. This was a game that the Chiefs had an opportunity to win. To be really frank, the Crusaders didn't play that well, and the Chiefs were not able to capitalize. Wasted opportunity for the Chiefs. I feel like I was watching the Chiefs versus the Rebels this game, except it was against the Crusaders. But yeah, so many mistakes for the Chiefs. Just poor security, lack of polish in the execution. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on this game. If you're a Chiefs fan, how frustrated are you? And thanks for watching, guys. I do appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Blues game. And thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.